Hi, Anne. How are you?
I've been better.
Okay, all right.
I'm soldiering through.
Well, we appreciate that. And for our listeners, I'm going to do this properly for a change. I'm Eddie Muller, the founder and president of the Film Noir Foundation. I am here with Anne Hawkins, the director of communications for the Film Noir Foundation. And I know a lot of people watching are supporters of the foundation, which is greatly appreciated. Some people maybe just watch Noir Alley on TCM, and we're trying to urge them to also be active donors to the Film Noir Foundation, which Anne can explain to you how that can all happen. But we also take questions. We've been doing this since COVID, and it's kind of fun. And Anne, I before we just started this, I had asked you when the last episode had posted because I couldn't remember if it was before or after we did Noir City Philadelphia, which is truly Noir City Phoenixville. And I just wanted to report that that went extremely well. And a lot of people asked after you because you have a lot of fans and everybody wants you to
Ah,
come out to the festivals,
that's nice.
right? So
Thank
I'm
you.
so I'm bringing regards from all the folks in Phoenixville and neighboring environs who asked after you,
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you, everyone. I will
including
be.
including Kingpin Johnny, who
Oh,
sends us a lot of questions. And
yeah.
Kingpin Johnny was at the festival as he always is, and he was kind enough to be supportive of Imogen's appearance at the festival. That's all I'll say. Because Imogen came down and co-hosted some of the shows with
Oh,
me, and that
great.
that was really a treat. Always a treat to see her, and that was great fun. So yeah, it was a successful last festival of 2025.
Yeah, and if people are watching and they're wondering how they get like a question submitted to the show, if you subscribe to our newsletter, and that's free, you just go to filmnoirfoundation.org and it's you can sign up on our mailing list. And when
Well,
we
now, and in truth, the newsletter is not actually free.
the
You have
newsletter
to. Well, you have to make. Well, yes, to get on our mailing list, and then
is
you'll
free.
get
Then you get the
emails.
newsletter, and then that's how we solicit questions, right? Is in the newsletter. So you have to. That's the only way you're going to get a question in is to do it that way. And also, we're about a year behind on questions, and we do. I have started sorting so that when something like you show something on Nor Alley and people are interested in it, like questions like that, or someone died, we do get those in. But if you also donate $20 or more to the Film Noir Foundation, which supports our restoration efforts, in case people don't know, we in fact we fund the restoration of film noirs. That's our purpose, our drive. Um, and if you do both those things, then you get the digital version of North City Magazine for a year. So about every quarter, we send you an email, and it has a link to download the magazine. So just thought we'd get that out of the way in case people were wondering how they got a question
Very good,
answered and how they
very
can
good.
support our restoration efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm happy to say that the latest restoration has been a long time in gestation, and it's in first gear, let's say, and there is traction, and it's in first gear, and we are moving, and it will appear in 2026. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
But that you'll be hearing more about that as we go. Okay, let's jump in. Let's jump in here.
Okay. Wait. Okay, Emily, you have to move slightly.
I'm going to tell the people watching that Emily has been a little bit of a cat butt. Oh, look, a rare appearance by Kathleen
Hey,
coming through
Kathleen.
to get a check. She's getting checks. There you go. She's sneaking in from her office. That through that doorway is Kathleen's office. We actually kind of work side by side. Okay.
It's kind of fun to have a person cameo instead of a cat.
Yeah, that was
that
the
was
first time I think that.
That's the
Yeah.
first
Oh,
time I think we've had a person. I think we've had a voice call to you from Kathleen before, and then that's been about
yeah,
it
yeah,
for other
yeah.
people.
That was an actual guest appearance by Kathleen. That was very sneaky. Okay.
Okay. Emily's biting my finger.
Yeah,
Ken from
Emily was being a butt before we started recording, and
yeah,
she
she's just
continues
off
to be.
camera in front of my keyboard. So if people were wondering, if you could replace just one scene in any classic film noir, which one would it be, and what scene would you put in its place? Ken from Oklahoma.
This is not normally my thing, you know. I don't like tampering with the noir films as they exist, but since you asked, Ken, and because it's fresh in my mind because I just showed it in Phoenixville as the opening night film, it's The Narrow Margin, and it's not replacing a scene, it's just adding what I consider to be the missing shot of Marie Windsor, of her body being taken off the train when they reach Los Angeles. There needs to be a shot of her body and the guys, you know, the ambulance guys taking her off the train, and McGraw kind of looking at her and tough break, Marcia, or whatever her name actually is. I don't know. Her character has no name in this.
The cop with no name.
I'm spoiling. The thing is, Ken from Oklahoma, is answering this is just going to spoil everything because it's generally the ending that you want to kind of mess with. It's like, it's rare that there's like a scene in the middle of the movie, unless it was a really, really bad performance. And it was like, boy, I wish they could just cut this guy out of the movie. But you know, most of this stuff has to do with the end. Like another one is, I don't like the very end of Thieves Highway where Richard Conte and Valentina Cortez are driving away in his truck. I don't like that. I don't mind the happy ending when they're reunited at the little diner on the Embarcadero. That's okay. Just that silly ending in the cab of his truck that I don't like. I just cut that off and have it end with them reuniting and walking out of the diner. And then the other one that I think is, because it's a film that we preserved, was The Hunted with Belita and Preston Foster, and it has a very forced happy ending, and I would change that one to have Belita actually kill Preston Foster and then go back to jail because she didn't really commit the crime the first time. It would be like ultimate noir if she went back to jail for killing the stalker cop who won't leave her alone, and then she does go back to jail for that crime. So those are three examples. How about you? You got any that you would like to?
I think the scene in Mildred Pierce when they're on the staircase arguing and Vito slaps Mildred. I would like Mildred to stab her, but I just wanted her to stab her at some point during the course of the film.
Okay, I was saying, like, wait a second, that's like a high point of the movie. Okay.
Sorry, she's for people.
You mean you want? Did I hear you right? You want Mildred to stab Vita?
Vita.
Yeah.
Really, at any point would be fine.
A little matricide. That's what we need. Well, is that what it's called? No, matricide is.
It's going the other filicide. Filicide.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe.
One of our criminally inclined listeners will clue us in on what it is.
What the correct term is
when you kill your own daughter.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm always have gotten grief for the fact that I like the ending of On Dangerous Ground. People always want to replace that one with the original ending, and I don't.
No, I love to me, that's not like, it's not, it doesn't, that doesn't really alter the movie that much in my estimation, right? I mean, he does go back and it seems forced, but somehow, you know, there's no indication. It's not, let me just say, I don't think it's as sappy as it could have been. Right, no, the ending of On Dangerous Ground. There's no promise that anything's going to work out right or anything like that. They, you know,
Well, and it's not going to magically fix him.
No.
But they're both people, though, that have a real connection and have both gone through a lot. And it's not like their lives will still be challenging. They both have a lot to cope with. They're just
it's a way, yeah, exactly, and it's a way of him admitting that he needs some kind of help, and he, and that's kind of it, And let's face it. Otherwise, if it's just him driving back into the city, and that shot that Scorsese lifted for Taxi Driver of his eyes in the rearview mirror, if it was just that, there's no other ending like that in any Hollywood movie of that era. It's just too open and ambiguous, and it's like the end of the novel Thieves Market that Thieves Highway is based on. It's just Conti or Nick going off to get revenge and grinding the gears of his truck as he goes after Figlia. And you don't even get the scene in the roadhouse where he confronts Figlia or any of that. The novel just ends with him going to get him. Yeah. Again, way too open-ended for Hollywood at that time. You gotta put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Here is a question that obviously is from, I think, earlier this year. I'm trying to remember because it says last night you showed La Deuxième souffle, which obviously was on Noir Alley, and this is from Annie, and she says, "Je ne comprends pas." She doesn't understand because I started to watch the film, but I fell asleep a few minutes after Goo. That's Lino Ventura's character, Gustav Minda, saw Manouche after escaping from jail and gave her a passionate kiss on the lips. I think I know where this is going. I checked Wikipedia to find out what the film was about. That's your first mistake, Annie. And I read, quote, Goo escapes from prison and heads for Paris to see his sister Manouche and her faithful bodyguard, close quote. On another site, quote, he reunites with his lover, Manouche. And then she goes on to say, Lino Ventura plays the notorious gangster, and Christine Fabreja plays his lover, Manouche. On a French site. And then it gets into this. Okay, this is all very complicated. So basically, Annie is saying, who was Manouche? Is it his sister or his lover? And it's an interesting question. Have you seen this movie, Anne? Have you seen
yes.
Second Breath or Second Wind?
I have, but I'm trying to remember it because I get them mixed up.
Yeah,
I'll watch anything with Lino in it.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that because the Melville films do kind of, after a while, they do start to, there's so many scenes that he repeats in his movies that it's like, oh yeah, which one was that?
It's like Colonel Woolrich. Where you're
was that
you know what
precisely,
I mean?
Precisely.
He hits the same notes as I mean, that's not a complaint, by the way.
No, it's not a complaint. No. It's just like I got to remember which one was this,
Yeah.
But the deal with this one, I happen to kind of know a little bit about this because I believe that, and I'll take this one step. I believe that Manouche is not his sister. But they did grow up together. And also, sister, I believe, is just like American slang where he's saying, hey, sister.
Yeah.
And I think in subtitles it reads sister, but you aren't supposed to take it literally. And I think that Melville may have been inspired because this has come up. Right. I mean, other people have mentioned this over the years about how weird this was. Is this an incestuous thing? And Melville was quoted as saying that he realized that it was going to confuse people, but he didn't care. He liked that it was kind of ambiguous. Like, who is this woman that he'll do anything for and blah, blah, blah. And I think he was kind of inspired. I mean, he's dead. I can't ask him. I think he was kind of inspired by the Dan Duryea,
the burglar. That's what I was thinking.
Burglar thing with his relationship with Jane Mansfield, where he was like, she was his ward, so to speak. They grew up together, and he promised to take care of her, but he's clearly, obviously attracted to her. And it's this weird thing where he can't do anything because it's too weird. And of course, that's a total David Goodis, psychodrama thing. And I think that Melville just said, this is interesting. We'll just go with this and see what people think. But I really do think that it's not meant to be his literal sister. And I think a lot of the confusion comes from and it comes from that use of the slang that means sister. And then Annie had one other thing here where she quoted a French site, and I didn't understand what she was talking about, so I quickly Googled this, and it turned out to be the French Wikipedia page for this movie. And there's a reference to, he returns to Paris to see Simone Pelletier, who is Manouche. And what's very interesting, and I have no idea who Simone Pelletier is, but if you go to that site, the French version definitely says that. And as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, this is where Annie got this. And then if you translate it into English, Simone Pelletier disappears from the description. And it just says his sister Manouche. But it's like wrong. It's all wrong because it's not his sister. Anyway, unless you really, really want it to be his sister.
Right. If that's your deal.
Yeah. If that's your deal, then you can go right ahead and see it that way. But Melville is not talking, and but many people have commented about the slang use of sister there. Anyway, okay. You go.
Take a moment to just say how great Lino Ventura is.
Lino Ventura is absolutely fantastic. I whenever I mention him, I have to point out that he is not French.
No,
but yet, like when they did some poll years ago in France about the most legendary French people of all time, Lino Ventura was like 18th on the list or something, and he's not even French, which will show you how the impact this guy had in French cinema. He's just fantastic. He's like one of those actors that's just like so ridiculously natural on screen and just so perfect at what he does. And super good buddies with Jean Gabin. Yeah. To the point where Gabin was very, very upset about his daughter marrying some guy kind of late in his life. He didn't approve of the marriage. And he sent Lino Ventura to walk her down the aisle instead of him. And he did it. And everybody was like, okay with it, Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yes, he was also, his son had mental disability, and Lino wound up like starting an organization to help people with families that had that, and so he's more than just a great actor and a pretty face. He was.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to say pretty face, because he's got kind of a. I mean, he is very handsome, but he's got a fighter's face. Definitely,
I think fighters' faces are pretty. So
there you go.
That's my preference. I'll be honest. I guess some people wouldn't say so, but I do.
Very, very good. Okay. Onward.
So onwards. Okay, sorry, guys. I'm still maneuvering around the cat, so I'm a little sorry.
She's just trying to take over as like the director of the show, I think.
Yeah, she wants to be the producer. This is from Patrick. I am interested in your thoughts about how music contributes to cinema and how the music of film noir has changed over time. Any favorite noir soundtracks?
Interesting. I mean, music to me is like inseparable from cinema. Although the thing that's interesting in this about this question, Patrick, is that it doesn't just apply to film noir. It applies to just movies in general, because obviously film scoring has changed dramatically over the years. You cannot. I think Alexandre Desplat is like one of the only classical composers. Well, John Williams, obviously, but that are doing kind of orchestral scores for movies these days. Most other scores now are pretty minimal. Um, and I'm not even going to say they're jazz inflected or anything. They're just sonic. They're just soundscapes more than they're music, and which is not a bad thing at all. And when I did Dark City, when I wrote Dark City, I was aware of the fact when I was done with the book that was the music was the thing that I gave the shortest shrift to in my summation of film noir and everything, because I was never a big fan of Hollywood scores. I don't know about you, but they were okay, but by the time I was watching movies in the 70s, soundtracks had changed entirely. Right? There were no big lush orchestral scores. Max Steiner and Franz Waxman and Hugo Friedhofer and all they just weren't writing music anymore. With the exception of even something like because I mean, he does ask any favorite noir soundtracks, and since you mentioned this film earlier, I'll say On Dangerous Ground has a great score by Bernard Herrmann that is his precursor to North by Northwest and these other things. And then, of course, in the 70s, he scored Sisters for Brian De Palma and Taxi Driver, but those scores were different because clearly the scoring for movies had changed. And so his approach to those, it wasn't like he was doing Wuthering Heights or Hangover Square or something. He was doing something that was much more like Psycho, which is like not a melodic orchestral score. It's a soundscape, Anyway, I mean, I obviously in film noir, if the music isn't built into the movie as like part of it, and I'm thinking of musical noir films like Deception and Humoresque and stuff like that, then I tend to prefer the jazzier scores like Odds Against Tomorrow and Sweet Smell of Success and stuff like that. I love all of those. I can't offhand think of any other. Well, I mean, I like all the Miklos Rozsa scores, Double Indemnity and The Killers and Crisscross. Those are all absolutely fantastic. But I don't. My ear is not as acutely tuned as my visual sense for these movies. So I'm learning a lot from my buddy Stephen Smith, who has written about Max Steiner and Bernard Herrmann. And I'm learning a lot more about music in the movies from reading his books, which I highly recommend. He has a new book out on Hitchcock and Herrmann and their collaborations.
Wow.
And I haven't read it yet, but I'm very eager to, because like I say, I learn a lot from Steve. Do you have any scores that particularly stand out for you?
I mean, I think the Double Indemnity score, definitely. That's a really great score.
Yep.
Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I do like the old Hollywood scores, actually. the kind of those. I know some people don't like them, now because they're not used to that kind of scoring. But I actually like that a lot. Yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
I mean, it seems kind of it's just interesting. You get a totally different vibe off the old scores than you do off newer stuff. Like it's so interesting to me because like I just saw the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie, right? One Battle After Another. And it's interesting because what's his name? Johnny Greenwood, scores all of his movies, and the scores are great, but you don't really notice them that much.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, his I almost call it underscoring of the films, and then a lot of the soundtrack is needle drops of songs that evoke certain things in the audience, and man, he used a lot of them in One Battle After Another. I mean, there must have been like 5 or 6 full songs used in that movie that you're familiar with, that and but the score itself was bolstered the whole thing, but it was completely unobtrusive because you didn't really notice it. It was just so incorporated into organically into the film, which is what I think it should be.
Yeah, I find out that I think that a lot of times though when people do needle drops, like they're doing it too much now. You know, like it can be really effective when it's ones like, I mean, to me, the classic example, and it's the most overused song now, but it wasn't at the time, was, in Halloween when they're driving to go babysitting the night of Halloween.
Don't Fear the Reaper
is playing in that. And that was just like, exactly how that should be done.
Yeah. Some might say that was a little on the nose, but the other thing that gets me is this is incredible to me. Every TV series since, I don't know who the first one to do it was. It may have been Homicide. I think it was Homicide, Life on the Streets. That was the first one to end every episode with the end credits having a pop song.
Yeah.
Playing over the end credits. Some recognizable song that's like an ironic counterpoint to the story you've just heard. Now this is done. Every single one, every single show does this, right? And what is amazing about that to me is that these are all streaming, and streaming cuts you out of the end credits, like after 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, how much did you pay for that use of that song at the end of the thing that you're not even getting because Netflix and Amazon and all, they're just jumping to the next thing you need to watch. So you're not even getting the bang for your buck that you paid for to use that song at the end of the film. And it's funny, I'm finishing up this documentary film right now, and I'm thinking about music to go over the end credits. And that thought just occurred to me. It's like, well, how much do we really want to pay for this if our market is going to mostly be streaming? And if they're just going to cut away from it, and it's like, is it worth paying the money for it? I don't know. I don't know.
Good question. And I think also, I was just going to complain about The Bear again. So I've watched a lot of the TV show The Bear, not all of it. And like starting the second season, it was doing so much needle drop. And it was like, I hated it. Like I found it completely distracting. A lot of times the song choices weren't particularly good for what was like going on. It's also like, could you just pay someone to score your because this is really annoying. Like it just drove me like nuts, because it's just like, look, I don't mind like, maybe it was just like, you guys need to go watch Better Call Saul to see how that's done. Like this is how you incorporate a song into an episode, okay? And it can be quite brilliant, especially The Winner Takes It All, which they even used as elevator music.
Yeah.
Because that was a huge amount of money they had to pay for that. But luckily, one of the guys in ABBA really loved Breaking Bad. So they actually were able to get it and to afford what they got. But they said it was like their music budget for like.
That does help when the composer of the song actually likes what it's being used for,
Yeah.
Although at a certain point it's like, wow, does Bob Dylan really approve of all of this stuff? But if they use it, they have to pay him, and his stuff pops up all over the place now on commercials and everything. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Anyway, so I noticed you did one of these clever things again, because our next question from Malvina says, do you feel, as I do, that sometimes background music hinders the mood in a scene instead of enhancing it. Well, I'm going to apply this, I guess, first to older films that we're talking about and say, yeah, it does. It can ruin a scene, but usually that's because it's a low budget movie where there wasn't enough money or time to hire a composer, and the film relies on some kind of stock music. I mean, recently I showed a movie on Noir Alley, Southside 1000, where most of the comments after the movie pertain to the bad, like the really inappropriate peppy music that played over the end credits, for what was a pretty dark ending of the movie. And then it's just like, and it was like, what the hell is going on? I mean, everybody in the world noticed that it was wrong, and it was because they just ran out of money. I mean, clearly it's like, it's just the end credits. We got some stuff here that we've already paid for, slap it on. So I think that happens a lot where you have just busy orchestration covering spots that the filmmakers think will be considered dead spots otherwise. It's just a bad decision, but what are you going to do?
I forgot to say before that I like the score from Mildred Pierce.
Is that a Max Steiner score? I can't remember who actually did the score to that. It might be Max Steiner.
I think it's Steiner, yeah. Because Warner Brothers.
It's a Warner Brothers film, definitely. I think it's Max Steiner.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it is. It is Max Steiner.
Okay, yeah. The other thing I should say, back to our point before about needle drops, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing necessarily, but you know who's responsible for that? Because he gets credit and blame all the time for his impact on motion picture history is George Lucas, right? Because everything changed after Star Wars, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's right.
The soundtrack to American Graffiti is what really changed the movie business, because I think they made as much money on the 2 album soundtrack to that film that was like a greatest hits of the 50s, and they made so much bank on that soundtrack album because everything in that movie was diegetic music. It all came out of the radio or playing at the prom or something. And it was a brilliant idea. And God bless them. I think at that point, I doubt they paid a tremendous amount of money for all those songs, because nobody knew the value of a soundtrack album. I mean, there were soundtrack albums before that, but that one was colossal. And I have it here in my house someplace. But yeah, I think when you get underneath Star Wars, you realize that American Graffiti was a huge game changer in Hollywood for that reason.
Yeah. Well, and then with Star Wars, of course, John Williams, and that really, I think, I remember that soundtrack also was a huge hit,
and also Jaws. I mean, he did this, that, which, again, the theme. Did you see the Jaws documentary?
No, I did not.
Did you watch that? You should. It's really good. It's really good. I guess for the 50th anniversary this year, they did this documentary, and it was very, very enjoyable. Oh, by the way, I got to show you this. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm happy about that. I did too, but I was especially happy because I went to my brother's house, and my sister, I had asked her about this a long time ago. My sister found this photograph that I knew existed. And this is she gave it to me, so I'm happy I can share this. This is a photo. Of, I don't know if you can actually see this too well, but okay. This guy over here is me. I'm either 16 or 17 years old. That is my sister, standing next to me. We are in Marina del Rey, California. That guy in the middle is Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
The guy next to him is Richard Dreyfuss. And that's Elizabeth, Liz Barbie, as she would become, because she married the cameraman. You can see she's wearing a tool belt. She was doing all the real. But I was working on a show called The $1 Million Movies, and we were interviewing Spielberg and Dreyfuss about Jaws. I mean, I was a researcher. I was not the host of this thing or doing the interviews. I was just there because I was the smart ass kid who knew a lot about movies and got paid to hang out and answer questions on the set. And they were editing Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, wow.
In this apartment, we're on the veranda outside the apartment where they were editing Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Spielberg showed me on an old Steenbeck editing table, like the UFO descending on Devil's Tower,
Yeah.
and that was pretty cool. I mean, I saw that before it was released to the two coolest things from that project were Spielberg showing me the landing at Devil's Tower, and we also interviewed William Friedkin about The Exorcist, and he showed me the bridge crossing scene from Sorcerer.
Oh, wow.
That he and Bud Smith were editing on the Steenbeck. And I now, looking back, I realize these were momentous occasions in my life.
Oh.
It's like I got to see those two scenes before the public, right?
Yeah.
Don't ask me which one I prefer, but
guess.
Sorcerer is one of my favorite films.
That's what I was gonna guess.
Yeah.
No, I still remember going to the Penn Theater in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, where I grew up, and seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind with me, my brother Sean, and my parents. And that scene coming on and me looking over at my brother, whose mouth was literally open. So it's funny that you saw that scene then, because I could still really remember.
But imagine, yeah. I mean, yeah. I just saw bits and pieces of it because they were literally putting it together. But he wanted to show me the actual craft landing, and see, obviously, let me show this guy and see if this has the required effect. But of course, to talk about sound or music in a movie, of course, that scene is nothing without the sound. And, you'll remember seeing it in the theater when the alien ship responds to the notes that they play. It feels like the back wall of the theater is going to blow out. It's so loud. And that just goes to show you. I know that Spielberg was like, this cannot be loud enough. No matter what you do, this sound cannot be loud enough for the effect. That was pretty cool. So now, Anne, when you write up the teaser for this episode, you can say special guest appearance by Steven Spielberg and Richard Dreyfuss. People will wonder, what the hell does that mean?
People will be dying to tune in.
Special guest appearances by Emily's Butt, Steven Spielberg, and Richard Dreyfuss. Right. Okay.
And Kathleen.
And Kathleen. My
It's
God.
a packed show.
There's all kinds of guest stars in this episode. Okay, whose turn is it to read the next question?
So the next one is from Bernie. Oh, Bernard Herrmann was a musical supervisor for the radio show Suspense. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Right on.
And he was married to who, Hetty?
He was married to Lucille Fletcher, who was the author of Sorry, Wrong Number and oh God, I'm forgetting the other famous radio show that she wrote about the hitchhiker. I think it might have been called The Hitchhiker. Not the Ida Lupino hitchhiker, but a different one. Yeah. Yes, and she was for a time married to Bernard Herrmann.
Okay, sorry. So this is from Bernie. Why do you think The Red House, 1947, has not achieved the acclaim some of us believe it deserves? No.
She's going to do something. Your whole TV is coming down in a minute.
Sorry, she's in a mood, people. I'm sorry.
She is in a mood, but she wants everybody to see her. Look at her sitting there so proudly. She would make quite a couple with our feral cat, who's all black and she's all white. It's beautiful. Ebony and Ivory. There they are. Yeah. That's because that movie slipped into the public domain long ago. I mean, it was an independently made film to begin with. It was created a little bit outside the system, and I'm trying to remember who originally distributed it. I think it was Universal, but it became a public domain film, and then good prints were just really, really hard to come by, and it was not until I've lost track of time, maybe 10 years ago, that a restoration was done that allowed the film to come back into circulation. And that's when, we showed the restored version on TCM on Noir Alley, I don't know, two or 3 years ago. But it's also, anyway, that's just the answer to that question. And also it's another one of those films that doesn't fit snugly into a lot of people's definition of film noir, because it's not really a horror movie, but it's like, I don't know, what's another film that feels like Hangover Square or The Lodger? They feel like horror movies, even though they really, well, The Lodger, I guess, is. Hangover Square, I don't think of necessarily as a horror movie.
Oh, The Leopard Man.
The Leopard Man. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. I mean, The Red House is more akin to those films. Because there's something dreadful in the woods. There's a dreadful secret lurking out there in the woods. Is not a common noir thing, nor is the setting. But that's not really the question that Bernie asked. He didn't ask about noir. Is it noir? Why don't more people know about it? And it's because of that public domain status, and it hasn't really found a way to get back in circulation completely. So.
Yeah, I'd like to see the restored print, because I've only seen the kind of public domain print. So it'd be nice. Yeah. I need to see.
It's good. It's really good.
Restored, because I'd really like to see it, because it's a good movie. It's just that the print was really muddy when I saw it.
It is a really good film, and Edward G. Robinson is his usual solid self, and Julie London is without question the most mature looking high school student until Twin Peaks. Until David Lynch made Twin Peaks, Julie London, and then take your pick of all the women in Twin Peaks who went to high school and all looked like they were, 30 years old. But Julie London is the queen of all those. All right, here is a question from Mark. As this has been available for some time, I may have missed your thoughts on the reconstructed version of Touch of Evil done by Rick Schmidlin. Do you think the project worked? Do you feel that by Rick following Orson's detailed list of corrections, that it is a better or more enjoyable film than the original release? I'm glad he did it, and I think it's very interesting, and it's nice to have that version, but I honestly don't think I think the original cut of the film is just fine. I don't have an issue with the titles being over the tracking shot at the beginning. Quite honestly, I think in some ways, I think it helps, because I think I've seen it without the titles, and to me, it comes off as a bit of unnecessary showboating.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, you just become too aware of the fact that it's one shot that really and truly isn't. I mean, it's genius in a sense, but it's also not entirely necessary. Mm-hmm. And I just think that, rather than cut it up, which they didn't really do, they just put titles over it. And there were other things as well that were different about them, but I don't really have a big issue. I don't think he necessarily saved the film, and I don't think he desecrated the film in any way. He just followed that memorandum that Wells had, and it was, fine. And then he also says, I always find it fascinating how Dennis Weaver gave a performance that could be considered a proto-Norman Bates. I think this fact should always be pointed out to audiences when possible, along with the extraordinary coincidence of Janet Leigh being in this film as well as Psycho. Mark, I'm not sure I agree with this assessment. I don't know that it's an extraordinary coincidence that Janet Leigh was in both of those films, since she's great. And I mean, she was in the prime of her career, and a lot of great directors wanted to work with Janet Leigh. She's also in The Manchurian Candidate, and she's in all kinds of stuff.
And my favorite episode of Columbo.
There you go. But honestly, I think if you took the motel out of the equation, I don't think anybody would see The Night Watchman and Touch of Evil and Norman Bates as being similar characters.
No,
because
Norman comes off as normal.
Well, that's what I mean. If Tony Perkins had played Norman Bates the way Dennis Weaver plays the Night Watchman, I don't think Psycho would be a classic film. Yeah. I think people would have laughed it out of theaters, because he's just, quite honestly, I think that Dennis Weaver is the false step in Touch of Evil. I just think, like, did he feel there needed to be comedy relief or something in this movie? I still, to this day, every time he comes on screen, I think, what were they thinking? Like, why did they think this was a good idea to have him ham it up so badly as that character? And and the other thing is, Norman, for underplaying it, in those early scenes. And my favorite scene in Psycho is the dialogue scene between Norman.
Oh yeah, and that's a fantastic scene.
That is so well written and so well acted, and Norman, there's a creep factor about Norman that isn't the same as the Night Watchman is just a goofball. Yeah, he doesn't seem creepy. I think it would have been more interesting if he was a little more threatening, if he was a little creepier. Then I would get this analogy that Mark is making. Like, this guy seems a little sketchy. I don't know if I would want to stay in that motel with that guy around. And then it becomes like, what? Well, you end up with even something worse. So anyway, that's, yeah. I'm glad Dennis Weaver's career survived that performance in Touch of Evil. Okay, I think it's you now.
Okay, and this is Brian from Casper, Wyoming, which is where my sister was born, if anyone cares. Okay. Have either of you ever seen Stella, 1950, with Ann Sheridan and Victor Mature? It's a hidden comedy noir gem of a movie. Until recently, all one could find was a very grainy VHS digital dub, which had many small cuts throughout the beginning and end of reel changes. But recently, January 2025, a much better print with French subtitles was posted on YouTube, and this much better print helped uncover this highly underrated movie. I would wholeheartedly recommend watching it and maybe even showing a decent print of it on Noir Alley sometimes, or at one of your Noir City festivals. So I've not seen it. Have you?
No, this is a revelation. I don't know this movie, and I don't have any idea. Thank you, Brian. I don't know this film at all. And it's interesting because, having restored Woman on the Run and written a lot about Ann Sheridan, this movie is completely off my radar. And it was made, in 1950. That was right when she was, her career was really in flux right then, because she had been at Warner Brothers, and then she made, we have to look this up because I'm wondering what studio made this film, because she went to 20th Century Fox and did I Was a Male War Bride. I'm pretty sure that was a Fox film, with Cary Grant, which is fantastic. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
I Was a Male War Bride. God, that's a funny movie. The two of them are just a riot together. But then she signed her deal with Universal, which is where she it was a distribution deal, but she made Woman on the Run, for Fidelity, distributed by Universal. So this movie just was right in the midst of that, and I'm really curious about it. I have no idea what it is, so I'm going to go look on YouTube and see if that's still up, and I'll also check with TCM and just see if they've ever shown it on TCM, and if it's somehow miraculously in the library there. And who knows? I'll watch it and we'll see. We'll take it from there. I'll watch it. I like Victor Mature, but I love Ann Sheridan.
Yeah. When I think it's because it was Mature, maybe it was Fox, because wasn't he in?
Of course. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Okay. This is from Jerome in Portland. Jerome recently watched the 1926 silent Shoes by Lois Weber, which had a lot of the setup of noir. An impoverished young woman in the city working for nothing with no hope of moving up, and the alienation of no social network. It's fun. I'm trying to wrap my mind around the use of the term social network for a movie made in the 1920s, but I get what you mean, Jerome. All that was missing was, and then our main character takes action against the system. Are you aware of other proto-noirs in the silent film era? Well, interesting you asked that question, Jerome, because in my collaborations with the San Francisco Silent Film Festival over the years, I introduced a great many films that could be considered proto-noirs, right? A Cottage on Dartmoor. You saw, and you've probably seen all of these, right? Because you always go to the Silent Film Festival.
Yeah, I missed this year though, so I did miss that. I did miss our presentation this year.
Yeah, I know. Because we always are a sponsor of these films as well. And so A Cottage on Dartmoor, that's an Anthony Asquith film from, I think, 1927. Really, really interesting movie that also speaks about the transition from silent to sound films in a kind of cool way. There's several von Sternberg films, my favorite of which is Docks of New York, with Betty Compson. He also did Thunderbolt and Underworld, which a lot of people call the first gangster movie. There's that fabulous Curtis Bernhardt movie with Dietrich called The Woman Men Yearn For. That was just terrific. There you go, Dietrich.
That's a poster for it from the San Francisco Silent Film Festival.
Fantastic! Glad I mentioned it. I have a lithograph of Dietrich around here somewhere. What else? The Ozu film, Dragnet.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Which was a little bit later because silent films lasted into the early 30s in Japan. But that's a fantastic movie. There was a Swedish film, I think, called The Golden Clown that was very noirish. There was a wonderful Todd Browning film called Outside the Law that was set in San Francisco. And I knew nothing about the actress Priscilla Dean when I came across that film, and that was an education for me. She was the first female action star in movies. She was just great in that film. There was a wonderful Czechoslovakian film called The Organist at St. Vitus that I showed not that long ago. That's totally noir. It sounds like the Phantom of the Opera or something, and but it's very much a noir. of course, there's Sunrise, Murnau's
Yeah.
Sunrise, which is very much a noir story.
A romance about a man who wants to murder his wife.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. How noir can it get? And then at the recent festival that unfortunately neither of us could attend, the Joe May film Asphalt that was made. I can't remember what year that was, 27 or something like that. Very much a noir film, and and there's more. I mean, those are just ones off the top of my head that I can think of, which is something that I really want to I want to do on TCM. I want to do with Jacqueline Stewart, introduce some noir films that were made during the silent era, even though people will fuss and argue and everything. But it's a way of getting people to watch a silent movie that they might not otherwise watch by saying, "Oh, it's a film noir," Whereas these are obviously outliers outside the noir movement, but they certainly have noir elements in them.
And we should do the lightning round. I almost forgot.
Okay, lightning round.
Let's do it earlier. So this is not really a question, but Bill from Pleasant Hill gave us a follow-up to something in last week's or 2 weeks ago's lightning round. So we received an answer to, this may be a silly question, but why can't I find any information on the actor who played Nulty in Murder My Sweet? It was actually Paul Phillips, known for Streets of Chance, Mississippi Gambler, and Brother Orchid.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Nulty. I can see the guy's face, but I could not put a name to it.
And this is from Tamara. Is Terry Moore sitting in the carriage or just walking out of the house in Gaslight?
I don't know. Sorry, that's a big 0 for me on that lightning round, because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Danielle from West Michigan. I've seen the movie Ivy, starring Joan Fontaine and Herbert Marshall, and loved it. Me too. I have been unable to find this film anywhere and don't recall if it was on TCM. If it was on TCM that I watched it. Can you tell me the status of this movie? Is it available to watch, and will it ever be on TCM?
If it appears on every so often, and that time is circling around right now when I get my lists of available films that I can show on Noir Alley. If it's on that list, I'm definitely going to show it in a heartbeat. So it's a Universal picture, and we can license fewer Universal pictures than I would like to. But that doesn't mean it's off limits. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, that Ivy was part of Criterion's Gaslight noir collection that they did earlier this year. And for folks who don't get the Criterion channel, you're missing out, because they do a lot of noir stuff. And Imogen, Sarah Smith, is kind of the one who does most of it and does like on-camera intros and stuff. She does, she doesn't introduce every film, but she does an overview, an in-depth overview of the thematic collection of films. And so I know that the Gaslight Noir was pretty popular. So Evil, My Love was in there, and I think if The Suspect, if it wasn't in there, it should have been in there. That's another one that I am dying to show on Noir Alley. The Lodger, Hangover Square. There's more. But
yeah, it's funny about The Suspect, because if people don't know, that was based on a real story. It was funny because one of Agatha Christie's novels, there's a newspaper column with 4 different women who are notorious killers from the past, and one of them is based on that.
Okay. Interesting.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, and it winds up being significant to the novel. Well,
Ivy is really, really a cool movie.
Ivy's a
and
great film.
Joan
Everybody should see
Fontaine.
Ivy. She's
Yeah, Joan Fontaine
fantastic
is
in it.
great in it, and she's such a
amazing.
good. She's such a good villain. I mean, she really is. When Joan Fontaine plays it sweet, I don't care for her at all. But when
Yeah.
she has a slightly, and I shouldn't say at all, because she's a fine actress,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but there's just something about, when you give her an edge, then all of her sincerity just seems so utterly fake. I wonder what Olivia de Havilland thought of her performances in, Born to be Bad and Ivy. She's great in Born to be Bad because she's such a louse. I think I've even shown those two movies as a double bill, right?
Yeah.
Born to be Bad and
I think so. I know I've seen them both at Noir City, so
yeah,
I enjoyed them both. Yeah, and but I really like her in The Bigamist.
yeah, she is good in The Bigamist. Yeah,
And it's great because she's so believable. It's just like a normal woman, and I don't not all Hollywood actresses can actually do that. But she was so believable, this woman running a small business and, and the things that happened during the course of the film. I really liked her performance in that.
Yeah,
she's really terrific. And it was just, like I said, she just seemed, she was completely believable. Like it didn't feel like a big star playing an ordinary woman.
Right. Well,
like
I'm sure Ida Lupino, being the director, had something to do with that.
Yeah. Oh, she's great in it too. The whole thing's great. I love The Bigamist. Everyone should watch that. It's a great film.
A lot of homework for people after this episode. There you go.
And this is from Lee. Oh, are you ready?
Okay, yeah, let's go. Yeah. We're still in lightning round.
We're still lightning round. Did the narrow margin have a rejected alternate script with Sergeant Brown taking Vincent Yost's offer? At the telegraph office in La Junta, Brown scratches Vincent Yost off his message to LAPD identifying the killers on board. It seems designated to be noticed, but minutes later, Brown warns conductor and Sam Jennings that Yost is still somewhere on this train. Did Howard Hughes reject the bribe? You think the scribbled off name was mistakenly left in the final cut? I know. This is like one where
people
get
I didn't even notice complicated this, with it wasn't Brown that took the bribe. It was his partner Forbes. Who took the bribe, and that that was the thing that Hughes didn't want in the film. Was he didn't want the dirty cop in the film, and that was Don Badeau, who gets killed early in the film, right? So Brown goes the rest of the way through the movie not knowing that his partner was on the take, and these guys who are following him are expecting cooperation, but they're not getting it because Brown was ignorant of the fact that his partner was on the take. So that was it. And I guess they, and then they snuck the policewoman in there to see which of the two guys was supposed to be the louse, but then she plays it out, and then she gets, blah blah blah. You get the picture. I don't know what the deal is with the scratching off of Yost's name and all that. Man, people watch these movies closely. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that question. It wouldn't surprise me, since Howard Hughes movies always get cut up and patched back together in unusual ways. But yeah, there you go.
Okay. This is from Bob. Any chance you can have a Noir City retrospective in New York City?
I am not at liberty to say yes, because it's not official.
Oh my God. Oh, don't. You shouldn't have said anything, Eddie.
Why?
Knock on wood.
No, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just we've been close before, so it's like I don't remember.
Yeah, I've been close. I've been close twice. I've been close twice before, but this time I think we'll have an answer fairly soon whether that's going to happen or not.
Okay.
But
cool.
my suggestion is, people who are watching this, don't ask more questions about it. Just don't bother asking more questions about it, because you're either going to know the answer to this within the next 2 months or not. So
Okay.
that's it, and believe me, if it's a affirmative, you will know.
Yes. And this is from Nancy. This is the final question in the lightning round. Nancy wants to know, why is Body and Soul almost never shown on TCM?
Oh, that I have no clue as to why that would be the case. I mean, I believe it's actually it's a Warner Brothers film. So, I mean, it should be more readily available than any other studio to TCM at this point. But I wasn't aware that it wasn't shown very often, but I'll see. I don't think I've ever shown it on Noir Alley. So, I mean, I could rectify that pretty easily.
Body and Soul is the boxing picture, right?
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Written by Abe Polanski, directed by Robert Rossen. Robert Rossen's first film as a director.
You sound like an old person boxing picture.
It's a boxing picture. He made a boxing picture. Every studio made a boxing picture back in the day.
Exactly.
And I don't know, they still make boxing pictures. And it's like,
yeah, I still do.
I think, which is kind of interesting, because I don't know who goes to see them.
Yeah.
Now they're pretty much, mixed martial arts movies and stuff like that. But like that, I don't know. It's just weird to me that they continue to make those films.
It must be something that people still want to see.
And they're all, they just did the one about Christy Martin, right?
Yeah.
Sydney Sweeney plays Christy Martin, and it's like, of all the people on Earth who should be happy that they continue to make boxing movies, but what I don't understand is, like, none of them do particularly well.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deal is.
I know, they keep making westerns too.
Well, but I think,
even though those have really gone more to streaming at this point. Now they're doing westerns on streaming.
You mean all those Taylor Sheridan things, like modern westerns.
Yeah, it's been quite some time since we've had an actual western.
Like a western. Well, there was that one, the revisionist western, The Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
Who made Jane Campion made that?
Jane Campion. Yeah,
Jane Campion.
I didn't see that.
I mean, it was interesting. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
It's just everything. I think if you make a western, a pure western, old west style, it somehow has to be a revisionist western at this point. Whereas I think the stuff on TV, all the modern stuff, and again, I don't even understand what qualifies anymore as a western. Like, people called Hell and High Water a western, and it was like, to me, that was like a noir. That was a crime story, set in, the Western states. Does that make it a western? I don't know. Anyway, we're ruminating too much for the lightning round.
Yeah. Yes, we were.
Or at least I am.
No, was that the body? Wait, how did we get on this conversation? Wait. Oh yeah, because I asked about
the body and soul question and the boxing. You said boxing picture, and then we
started talking about westerns. I literally thought we were answering question 9, which we were not. So here's question 9 of the regular questions.
Okay.
This is Michael from Post Falls, Idaho. In 2024, I hit a personal milestone. I watched my 8,000th movie. As of today, I've seen 8,255 films for the first time. Since I'll be 78 at the end of the month, I've averaged seeing 2 new movies every week of my life. Since moving to the Pacific Northwest in 1980, I've averaged 3 a week. This year, I've watched 461 movies, 311 for the first time. One of the benefits of being retired. Because Eddie has said he skipped school to watch Dialing for Dollar movies, and Ann once lived in the cinema-rich city of Seattle and was involved with the Seattle International Film Festival, which actually is, I wasn't really involved with SIFF. I wrote for the SIF blog. Anyway, the two of you have been cinephiles for some time. I'm curious how many films the two of you estimate you've seen and how many new films you average seeing each week with your busy schedules.
Well, congratulations, Michael. That's a lot of movies. That's a lot of movies. I have absolutely no idea how many movies I have seen.
I don't
Michael,
want to
no offense, but I think this is the musing of a retired person who is able to mathematically compute how many movies they've seen. I have absolutely no idea. The only thing I could relate to is when Michael said I average 3 a week. That sounds reasonable for me. I think I'd say I probably watch 3 movies a week, at least 3 movies a week. But then there are weeks probably where I don't watch any. So I don't actually know. And one thing that's interesting is I don't consider, like he said, I watched Dialing for Dollars. I don't consider it to be watching a movie if it has commercials. I just don't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't think like if it was a movie I've only seen with commercials, then I'm not counting it as having seen it. Weird, but that's kind of the way I am. I could not tell you how many movies I have seen, and obviously Michael is counting separate films. He's not counting like viewings of films. Like if you've seen Psycho 60 times, that doesn't count as 60 movies. It counts as one movie that you've seen 60 times. I don't have the slightest idea. Right? It's weird because I used to do that. I used to keep lists, and I haven't kept a list. Did you do that? Did you keep a list of like movies I've seen this year?
Not really. I've never been good at that.
No,
at tracking it. Nor
have I. And I just don't. It's weird that I can remember them. I remember everything about movies until you ask me like a specific thing. Like, have you seen this movie? And I'll say yes or whatever. But I just, if you asked me what I saw last week, I'd have a hard time telling you what I watched last week.
Yeah.
But I'll remember it if you say, "Oh, it's the movie where this happens." Then I remember everything about it.
Yeah.
But I just don't catalog them in my mind. They're like a big cauldron or something that is just. It's weird. Okay, is it me now?
Yes.
Okay. This is from Richard. Mr. Muller once said, it always gets dangerous when it starts out with a Mr. Muller. Mr. Muller once said that femme fatales are female characters in films. Yes, that's true. Speaking about noir, who use their wiles to get men to do things for them. True enough. In Dark Passage, Madge Raff, played by Agnes Moorehead, is not trying to get Humphrey Bogart's character to do for her as much as punish him for not loving her or be willing to be attached to her in an arrangement. Madge in Dark Passage is neither femme fatale as described or one of the many strong independent women who support themselves or men in film noir. She is this is, I guess, Richard's term. She is a femme tragique. Okay. And then he asks, what are your top 3? And if you are feeling good, top 5 women who kill themselves in film noir. Okay.
I've got one.
Okay. First off, I apologize because I'm telling people, obviously this is a spoiler alert because if I can think of 3 right off the top of my head, which are really interesting, but it spoils the end of all these movies.
Yeah.
Right. So if you don't want to know, then you can stop listening now. Thanks very much for your patience and your time. And you guys are great. Bye. See you later.
And if you're watching this on YouTube,
right
we now have chapters on YouTube. So you can just skip to the next chapter.
Cut out
Ted.
This chapter. Thank you, Ted. That's brilliant. Yeah. But before I get to that, I would argue that I still think Madge fulfills the role of the femme fatale in that movie, because another way I have described the femme fatale is the last woman that a man should meet. And of course, Vincent isn't seduced by Madge, but she is she's the villain of the piece, right?
Yeah.
So although she's not using him in the traditional way of the femme fatale, she fulfills that role. And I like Agnes Moorehead in that movie. I think she's really, really good in that film. And the production notes on that movie are so interesting, because they thought that Madge was, believe it or not, Jerry Wald thought that Madge was coming off more alluring than Lauren Bacall in that movie. Like, they didn't treat her like hatchet face Agnes Moorehead. They thought she was like the femme fatale.
Yeah.
And Jerry Wald was in particular opposed to Lauren Bacall's wardrobe because he thought it was too plain Jane, which of course was the character. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you dress Lauren Bacall like plain Jane, she's still Lauren Bacall, right? So it's like, what? She's not going to show up in a gown, and jewels and stuff. But Agnes Moorehead kind of does. She's trying to vibe Vincent, and she's trying to be alluring and attractive to him, and she's interesting. I think she's a great character. Anyway, okay, here we go. You ready?
Yes.
You want to? You have one, so we can alternate. We can alternate.
So this is my first one, because I consider it suicide, which is Sorry, Wrong Number.
Oh, interesting.
Because that she is capable of getting up and getting out of that situation if she wants to.
Interesting take.
She is so bought in.
Psychosomatic invalid.
Yeah. So I consider that rather than break that, she'd rather die. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes. And I think an argument could be made that by the end of she's bought into it, her helpless act, and by the end of the film, when she realizes what's going to happen, then she really is like so scared she's immobilized. She doesn't know what the hell to do, So that's a good one. That's very interesting. Although technically somebody else comes in and finishes the job. So, okay, I'm going to say, obviously, Gene Simmons in Angel Face is probably the greatest murder suicide in film noir, right? Okay, that's one. The most unusual one is Gene Tierney in Leave Her to Heaven. Right? I mean, that's weird awesome. because that is an inextricable part of the plot that is nothing else like it. And it also is interesting that it got made because of the prohibition against suicide by the production code. That if you want to know how much pull Daryl Zanuck had in Hollywood, it's that he got that movie made and kept that plot twist in it.
Well, she also intentionally had a miscarriage.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she,
which was also, I don't think, part of the production code.
Yeah, but kind of wild. Yeah. And then the other one, and this is kind of borderline noir. I mean, I consider it to be part of the noir movement, but humoresque is astounding because that really was completely in violation of the production code. And it's I mean, that scene is played for everything. It's spectacular. It's like the most spectacular suicide in an American movie ever. And go figure, Now,
only
you'll notice I'm trying to be vague and not say who kills themselves at the end of the movie, right? So, but I think you get the picture if you've seen any of that movie or seen the Italian poster for that movie, which kind of gives it away. Anyway,
for want of a gay male friend.
Yeah, exactly. See, Oscar Levant should have been her friend instead of
that would not have happened.
That would not have happened. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so how'd we do?
Good, I think.
Somehow miraculously we always come in right at 90 minutes. How does that happen?
We've been doing a good job on that.
I always think we should shave these down to 60 minutes, but then we start talking and then there you go. It's 90 minutes. So we have a Christmas show coming up at the Grand Lake Theater, December 17th, Wednesday, December 17th, the Christmas show. We will be showing I Wouldn't Be in Your Shoes, the Cornell Woolrich, which is really, it's really good. I enjoy that movie for having no budget and, not the most scintillating leading man on earth in Don Castle, but it's the great Regis Toomey film. It's like the best role Regis Toomey ever had in a noir film. He usually is just like one of the cops standing there, It's like I just saw him again in Phantom Lady, which we showed in Phoenixville, and there's Regis Toomey, with his hat up, hassling Alan Curtis at the beginning of the movie, and that's it, and he usually plays, some Irish cop, but this one he's an Irish cop, but it's a much, much bigger part, and he's terrific in it.
Cool. Yeah. And so passports are on sale, which is the all access pass to our big festival in January, Noir City 23. So you guys can buy your passes.
And of course, that night, the 17th, we will reveal the program, which is pretty much set. We'll reveal the poster, the program, all the fun stuff in store. Who Ms. Noir City is for this year. And all in preparation of the big fest that begins January 16th at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland, runs through the 25th. And also, just a little heads up, I don't know that much about it yet, but the reason the Noir City Festival is happening a little earlier this year is because I will be in New York, not for a Noir City Festival, but for a TCM event on January 31st.
Okay, cool.
In New York at the 92nd Street Y. And I don't know what that entails at this point. We're still putting a program together, but I will be there. So if you're in New York and want to come out and see movies and say hi, I'll be there.
Cool. And
unfortunately, I think Ben will be there too.
Well, you can't have everything, Eddie.
Yeah, I know.
Life's just that way.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So that's where we're at. And so my last question to you, Anne,
yes,
is: did you watch the last episode of Pluribus?
No, because I was sick last week, and so I didn't get together with Ted. So I will be, unfortunately, that means that I'm not feeling well today, the day we're shooting this. So I will be watching 3 episodes of it next week to get caught up.
Okay. Well, I want you to pay a special attention to episode number 4.
Okay.
To the voice message. in episode number 4. It's for you.
Okay.
It's an Easter egg for you. Is the voice message that she keeps getting in episode number 4.
Oh, I'm excited.
You'll appreciate it.
Cool.
It's pretty humorous. That's all I'll say.
All right. So what have you been watching?
That's it. I mean, I haven't had.
You're a very busy beaver.
I have been very, very busy. I have so much stuff going on. It's insane. So I'm not going to bore everybody with going through it all, but I'm just basking in the fact that I don't have anything to do. I mean, I always have something to do, but when I say I don't have anything to do, that means I'm not traveling.
Yeah.
Right. And when I'm home, that means I'm working on the book I'm writing with Imogen. That means I'm working on finishing the documentary film that I'm doing. That means I'm working on the novel that I am very thankful I got a contract for my 3rd novel. So that's due next year. And so I'm also working on that. And then, putting out the magazine with Imogen and Danilo, and, writing the Noir Alley scripts and all this stuff. So there's an endless amount of stuff to do, in addition to the normal Film Noir Foundation business, which thank God Darl takes care of most of that right now. So it's all good.
Cool.
So that's it. So, I thank everybody for the questions, and we're going to get you to one of these satellite festivals one of these days. And who knows? I still think there's got to be some way we can actually do one of these, like, if not live, at least in conjunction with one of the festivals.
That'd be really fun.
Great fun. Yeah,
absolutely.
So we'll work on it. Of course, during the festivals, I'm just dead tired, most of the time. So
I was going to say you're pretty run out, but we'll figure it out something someday.
We will figure it out. Absolutely. Okay, Anne, I'm going to let you go because I know we checked in, you said you weren't feeling that great today. So you did a yeoman's job. You were fantastic getting through this. Much appreciated.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking forward to now just going back and sitting on the couch with Emily.
There you go. That's a perfect way to spend the rest of the day.
Exactly. Okay, great. So hopefully we'll see you all in, I'm going to aim for 2 weeks.
Okay, very good. I'll be around. Definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.